next up would be our superintendent's report.
Okay. Lots of good news to share with the board and the community tonight. First off, when I ask the district personnel if they have good news to share with the community and the board, I tell them that they can share information about their students, their schools, their colleagues, or themselves. So tonight, we have a couple of pieces of information that have come about specific personnel. The first is from the Wisconsin State Reading Association, thanking the board and the community. Dear Dr. Martin, on behalf of the Wisconsin State Reading Association, I would like to share with you our appreciation of the contributions of Mrs. Karen Van Offeren to our 2014 Wisconsin State Reading Convention held in February at the Wisconsin Center in Milwaukee. WSRA relies on professionals to share their knowledge and experience with others at our annual convention. This year we offered 150 presentations, and Karen presented a presentation on frequently asked questions of Title I. So congratulations to her, and thank you to the board for supporting that. This in from Mrs. Schutte, who also, she's a reading teacher but also supports our AFS program. The weekend of February 21 to 23, Chilton AFS Club held their annual AFS weekend. AFS students from neighboring communities stayed with Chilton host families for the entire weekend. Students from Thailand, Japan, Turkey, Norway, Spain, Chile, Bolivia, along with our own Chilton AFS students from Denmark and Italy, and the AFS Club members joined in local Chilton activities: snowshoeing at Ledgeview Nature Center, tubing at Calumet County Park, bowling at Playmore Lanes, and a meal and tour at LeClaire Farms to observe the goat milking operation. We extend our gratitude to the Chilton School Board for continuing to support this international student exchange program. Sounds like a fun weekend. This from Mr. Corey Benke. 13 varsity club members volunteered their time during academic resource to go to the elementary and middle schools and talk to some of the classes. They talked about the importance of selecting classes, getting good grades, trying a variety of clubs and sports, and making their own choices, not just following others. The feedback that I've received from the teachers of the classes that the varsity club spoke at has been fantastic. He also attached some pictures of kids that came to speak. And Mrs. Schaefer responded and said, the boys that came to my classroom did a fantastic job. They were considerate, respectful, and very nice to my third graders. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So those are the ones. When high school kids go into elementary classrooms, they are like rock stars. Austin, have you had that experience?
I have not, no.
Not yet? There were some science classes that were over there about a week ago. I thought maybe you might have been part of that group. But they are. I mean, the kids just love having them come. So you can continue. I think there's several pictures there, and I'll keep going. Last week, help me out, Mr. Apple. The 2014 Olympian Conference Knowledge Bowl was held, am I correct? With middle school students from the conference. Wrightstown, Chilton, Michigan, Brillion, Valders, Hilbert, and Reedsville participated. Chilton took second place, but I would like you to hear the tally of the final scores. Wrightstown won with 1,114.3 points. Chilton came in second with 1,113.7 points. So pretty close tie. Michigan then was a third at 1,030.7, and then so on. Brillion was fourth, Valders was fifth, Hilbert sixth, and Reedsville was seventh. So good time was had by all.
I got a little more breakdown for you. Each round, we do 2 rounds. First round is in the classroom where all of our teams win, and they all break it down with science, social studies, language arts, math, and current events. There's 3 kids in each one of those teams. And Chilton's score by content area was in science, we had the highest score overall. Social studies and language arts, we were second place behind Wrightstown in both of those by 1 point. And in math, we tied with Wrightstown for the top score. In current events, we were second. And the only way that Wrightstown beat us is they went 10 for 10 on the speed round in here at the very end. And our kids didn't. But it was a lot of questions and other things. But it was really was a fun night, our kids did great, so.
Thank you. This from Mr. Barris. 2 items for the attention of the board. Keith, I may mispronounce this, and you may know this name better than I. Keith Kavacek, is that name so? Cabayas, thank you. Professional fisher person who originally started his career in the Chilton area, visited the 4th grade classrooms, and presented his fish knowledge for the 20th year in a row. His free presentation focuses not only on the art of catching fish, but Keith emphasizes the importance of education and how his education was desperately needed with professional fishing, even though on the surface it would not seem to be. Keith, whose partner is Gary Parsons, his son Chase and daughter Aubrey are both Chilton High School graduates, continues to fish around the North American continent and still enjoys returning to Chilton. He also adds that the 4th grade classes were able to finally attend their annual snowshoe adventure at Ledgeview Nature Center. Bitter cold had them cancel the trip twice. Along with the snowshoeing, students were able to learn how animals depend on adaptation to survive in the winter. In the case of wolf packs, students use a sense of smell to track and kill, not really, a deer, energetic student, in the woods at the Nature Center. We had bountiful snow and wonderful weather. So that's it for Mr. Barris. This is from Kelly Main. Kelly sent me a text message and email tonight. She's yet on the path of writing another grant with information to follow. But before that, she has this information to share. She would like to add that the money awarded $3,800 to business education for financial literacy from Discover Pathway to Financial Success. This grant money allows personal finance and survival skills the ability to purchase the David Ramsey curriculum called Foundations, which includes great videos, lessons, and assessments, especially a pre-test and a post-test, to see exactly how financially literate our students are who will be taking the class. Bonnie Mauman and Kelly Main will become certified financial educators once they complete the course. There's also additional money for a 2nd-year subscription to QuickBooks for education and other financial resources. So she is really on a roll in writing grants for the district in terms of getting us more immersed in financial literacy. She also writes, she had the privilege to take Taylor Beasy, Patrick Berkheimer, and Connor Schmitz to compete in a forensics accounting competition held at Lakeland College. Each team was given the same case study. This year it had to do with the fraud of Cost Corporation's CFO. Each team had to prepare a 10 to 15 minute presentation on the cause and effect it had on Cost Corporation and its stockholders. There were 22 teams split into 4 pools. The team with the best score from each pool moved on and placed. We did not place. However, we did lose out to the first place team. So if you're going to lose to the first placers. We found out after lunch that one of the judges was an FBI agent that had been assigned to the case. It was a great experience, and my juniors are very excited to compete again next year. She also writes that FBLA held a food drive to help the Matt Colby Memorial Fund's annual food drive to benefit Chilton's Bread of Life Salvation Army. They were able to donate just shy of 300 items of food. Block 1 classes that brought in the most on average won prizes. Mrs. Mulman's share class took first, second went to Mrs. Spore's class, and third went to Mr. Budig's. So congratulations for all those great efforts. Mr. Bartles writes that his biology students have been setting up an aquaponics project, and they'll continue to monitor their systems for the rest of the school year. Aquaponics is the combination of hydroponics, the growing of plants in nutrient-rich water rather than soil, and aquaculture, the raising of fish as a food source. The fish, which are goldfish in our case, that will not be used as a food source, provide the nutrient-rich water for the plants. Water is pumped from the aquariums up to a growing bed on top of the aquariums where the plants will grow in a variety of growing medium such as water beads, floating styrofoam mats, rock wool, and perlite. We are growing herbs and lettuce to be used by the Family and Consumer Science Department. Our goal is to observe the growth process of plants and collect data about the systems to determine which growing medium is most effective and which herbs grow best in this type of system. So agricultural at its best in the science classes. This was sent by Mr. Verm on behalf of himself. He will be traveling to New York City this summer during the week of July 20th to July 26th, attending New York University, attending a course called the Economic and Financial Crises in American History. Just to give you a very quick overview, the financial crisis and the ensuing economic recession of 2007-09 serve to remind us that such crises and downturns have been recurring events in American history. They have occurred once, on average, once every 15 to 20 years since 1769. In this seminar, they will study the causes of major financial crises and will explore the social, political, and economic consequences of them. So great background for a history teacher to be immersing himself in the summertime.
That's
for his
part of
classes.
our school last spring joined, what's the institute's name? It's like the Guggenheimer, something like that. But that institute, and it gives free resources for teachers when you sign up because of, if you support their mission and vision. And then he applied for that and was awarded it. So
Wow.
it was really neat.
He said he's very excited, he's registered and ready to roll,
Yeah.
so this
Yeah.
summer he'll be in New York. Mrs. Bartles wrote that on Thursday, March 20th, which was last week, Mr. Russ Routman was guest speaker for her physical science classes. On Wednesday, her classes had read an Achieve 3000 article. Achieve 3000 is a software program that we have about incandescent light bulbs being phased out. And Russ shared with the class his work to update the lighting in the Engler Center and how the upgrades will impact the school district's energy consumption. So you're now on the speaking circuit, Mr. Rowan.
Yes, I am.
Great. This in from Annette Pleshak. She sent this very late today, but she said, I'm sorry this is late, but could you possibly use this tonight at the board meeting? Please join us on Thursday, it's this Thursday at 8:30 a.m. or 1 p.m. for the annual circus program. Come see what we saw at the circus. And so she has a list. That's that little clip. This Thursday, you can see the real thing, so I don't know why anybody would want to miss that. How cool is that? Zach Plattner, Chilton High School English teacher, writes, I have some good news that I wish for you to share at the board. The forensics team won first place for highest team average at our sub-district meeting at Sheboygan Lutheran on February 24th. I know that's a solid month ago, but it was the date of our last board meeting. Below are some of the details of the meet. Chilton's average of 62.308 points topped all of its challengers. New Holstein had 60.933, took second, and Kiel at 60.455 came in third. Chilton also came in second in total team points with 810. The team won the award for the highest team total the previous 2 years. All 13 of Chilton's entries qualified for the district meet by earning 16 or more points in at least 2 of the 3 rounds. The district meet, I believe, will be held at Oshkosh West High School on March 17th. That already occurred, Mr. Brightwell. Students will again perform 3 times, but at this level they must earn 20 or more points to advance to the state meet. At the district meet, the following 11 students qualified for state, which will be participating on in April. Donna Bartle, Kristen Bartle, Margarita Canoe, Austin Dawson, so congratulations, Austin. Brad Keys, Sage LeGault, Ashley Meyer, Rachel Padur, Abby Sabo, Daniel Schmitz, and Emily Sante. So congratulations to those students in the forensics group. This picture goes with this announcement. Chilton High School student newspaper was awarded a $1,000 scholarship. The Wisconsin Newspaper Association Foundation presented the Chilton High School student newspaper, The Prowler, with a $1,000 scholarship at its 160th annual convention in Waukesha on February 28th. The William E. Brannon Scholarship honoring excellence in high school journalism was presented to representatives of the Prowler staff during an honors luncheon for winners of the 2013 Better Newspaper Contest. The scholarship and a plaque were prizes for earning the first award in general excellence. Sophomore Kristen Bartle, who was among the Prowler staff to attend the award ceremony, said, Receiving the award was very gratifying. Being recognized for our hard work was wonderful. We are all very thankful and thought it was a great experience. And the following were members of the Prowler staff during the 2012-13 academic year, which is when this award was presented. Chris Berry, Kristen Bartle, Hannah Brandenburg, Yaharia Castillo, Alicia Kamenberg, Zach Crystal, Crystalline Gerpoltz, Taylor Candler, Grace Keller, Danielle Kobringer, Andrew Krause, Hunter Moore, Emily Ott, Erin Riley, Brianna Riley, Celia Salceder, Jade Schaefer, and Emily Sontag. So congratulations to our local newspaper, our student newspaper. Julie Hiska, high school English teacher, writes, sophomore Emily Carls submitted the memoir she wrote for my English 10 class, and now she is published online. Teen Inc. is the site that I use to get sample high school memoirs for this class to read, and I felt that Emily's was much better than what I read on Teen Inc. She just made the selection process easier for other teachers. So now she is published in this venue. Mrs. Benzel writes, she wrote this around the 13th of March. A little over 2 weeks ago, one of my students had open heart surgery. She was anticipating being home for 2 weeks, but encountered a minor setback. Therefore, she is still in the hospital. Mrs. Benzel teaches first grade. On Friday, her mother, Tiffany, asked if it would be possible to FaceTime her. Knowing nothing about this, I approached Ann Bartle, and in about 45 minutes, Ann had me hooked up, and we FaceTimed Tiffany and Marissa. It was fabulous seeing and speaking with her. Tiffany and I set up a FaceTime on Wednesday with the class, so they FaceTimed Marissa. The kids were so excited to see and speak with her. It was really a unique and wonderful experience for the class. They were able to ask Marissa questions, see her hospital room, the tubes in her arms, and also tell her what we have been learning and doing in the classroom. Once we hung up, the kids were still talking about how cool that was. Tiffany also told me later that having Marissa see her friends helped greatly to lift her spirits. The whole experience was really neat. If she remains in the hospital, we will continue to do this again. So great way to use technology and to connect with people. Another example of connecting with technology, you may have seen that we are publishing the spring newsletter every other week, article by article, in our local Chilton Times Journal. And we had a community member write to me, thought that doing that and getting the word out to the community, yet saving publication costs, was really a cost-efficient way for the district to do that. But she had another idea on how we might further save on costs. I don't know if any of you are familiar with QR codes. She suggested that we set up QR codes for our
Programming.
the programs at our events, because this was just after Bandorama. When you list all of the kids' names, there's pages that we're handing out. So Russ put this quickly together. He figured out QR codes, and we put this at the entrance. So if you have a smartphone and you have the QR app, you can scan this app, and the program will appear on your phone. Now we know that not everyone has a smartphone, and not everyone may or may not know what QR codes are about. But great idea. Thought we'd try it, and we'll keep doing it. Eventually, this will catch on more and more. People may find this.
From the booth, we could, for the choir concert yesterday and for 101 Dalmatians, we were able to see people on their phones looking at the program on their phone versus having a paper copy. They would scan it at the ticket booth, or they would scan it just before they walked in, so they were able to have the program on their phone.
So it could cut down on our
It
production
could.
of paper
Right.
costs. We still obviously are printing, but and it didn't take you long
Maybe 10 minutes.
to get this set up.
Yeah.
So pretty cool idea. Another way that we can use technology to be more efficient, cost efficient, but also to put things right in the hands
It's not
of.
gonna work until he gets to the first page where it says turn the softball up.
And then it's a problem. But see, then they got it. Just wanted to mention that in the Wednesday, March 19th edition of the Appleton Post-Crescent, the candidates running for the Chilton School Board did have their interviews listed. Mr. Bailey is up for election, Mr. Colby is up for election, Mr. Lizaway is up for election, and Mr. Richard Bossert is also running. So I wanted to remind folks that the election is coming, but I also want to thank people for running for the school board. I think we're very fortunate in that we have people that are willing to come and sit at this table once a month. And last but not least, I wanted to thank our local papers. This is happens to be the Chilton Times Journal. I could easily have the Tri-County News up here. But as I went through the latest edition, this is the picture of the fishermen coming to talk to the kids that I just read to you from Mr. Barris. You turn the page, there's an article here on the students winning the $1,000 scholarship. You saw the picture up on the screen tonight. There's an article here about Dr. Barlev, local educator, is going to serve on a statewide council for children with long-term needs. You turn the page again, our school safety article is here by Officer Meyer. There is pictures about the 101 Dalmatians. There is information about Shauna Weber, who was the Kiwanis Club Student of the Month. So we really, really do get a lot of excellent coverage from our 2 local papers. And I'm very grateful for that. I don't think that's always the case in every community. I wanted to thank them publicly for what they do for us. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Martin.
I'm very
Okay, next, moving on